All right, so this is video number 3, and we're going to be doing procedures, materials, and variables. Procedures, materials, and variables. So with the procedures, this needs to be a detailed, step-by-step instructions. Detailed. When I've been judging these in the past, students will list like five steps in the procedures. That's not enough steps. Detailed. You need to be able to tell exactly what you did during the experiment. Detailed, detailed, detailed. It needs to be so detailed that somebody else then can pick up your procedures and recreate the experiment that you did. Now, in these procedures that you can see written, okay, I even went into the detail of where to cut on the paper airplane. So notice I said, cut along the solid lines and fold along, cut along the solid lines and fold along the dotted lines, okay? Needs to be very, very detailed. And what's great about this procedures is that you can do a step-by-step, okay? In fact, you should. It should be 1, and then what you did, 2, and then what you did, 3, and then what you did, step-by-step. Again, detailed enough to where people, other people can recreate your experiment. And the purpose of that is they're going to try and recreate your experiment to see if you got if they got the same results. Materials, again, this one can be a bulleted list. Just list everything that you used. Now, I'm using a pair of scissors to cut this out. Okay, the only thing I had here today were these little kid scissors, so this is going to be fun, right? Okay. You need to include the scissors in the list as well of your materials that you used then to cut this out. Okay, if you use the ruler to measure, you need to say the ruler. Okay, so that is your materials. The hardest part for students and for teachers and parents and the like is this variables idea. Variables. Variables are the things that help determine what the experiment is about. Okay? So I got independent, dependent, control, and constants. So we'll just start with the independent variable. That is what you changed during the experiment. Okay? So I'm going to quickly cut out one of these helicopters. Okay? So what you changed during the experiment. And if you go back and if you can read, if you can remember, what am I changing in my experiment? What am I changing in my experiment? Maybe you can remember, what am I changing? Okay, so my procedures, I cut along all of those, and now here is my paper helicopter. Here's my paper helicopter. And again, specific instructions on how to do that. So here's my paper helicopter, and I'm going to put in a paper clip here on the bottom. What did I change? Okay, independent variable. What did you change? I changed the length of these wings. Okay, the length of the helicopter blades here. That is what I changed. I'm going to have 3 different of these, and I'm going to cut. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so that is what I changed. That is the independent variable. The dependent variable is what changed as a result of what you changed. Now, the dependent variable here is going to be the time it takes for the helicopter to fall. The time it takes for the helicopter to fall. That's the dependent variable. The control. Not every experiment is going to have a control. So in this experiment, I'm not going to have a control group, but there are going to be some constants. Some things that are going to remain the same throughout the entire experiment. For example, the type of paperclip. I'm going to have 3 different helicopters, but I need to make sure that I use the same type of paperclip for each of these drops that I'm going to do. Okay? I need to make sure that I use the same type of paper. I need to make sure that I'm dropping it from the exact same height. Okay? Variables that do not change. So I need to keep all of those things the same. Let's see here. The timer, even the timer that I use needs to be the same. During an experiment, you can only change one variable. I cannot change the length of the wing and the number of paper clips I put on the bottom. You can't do that, okay? Because then you don't know what changed, what messed up the results or what changed the results, okay? Here again, everything remains the same except for one variable. That's the length of the wing, and that is the independent variable. The dependent variable is what changed. That's going to be the time it takes to drop, and the constants again. Everything must remain constant. Everything must remain the same except for the one variable that we changed. The one variable that we changed. And then you can see a little bit of a graph there on the side. We're going to come back to the graph when we talk about the results section. And dry mix, that's something that we've been trying to teach them starting elementary school, dry mix. Dependent responding along the y-axis, manipulated independent along the x-axis. And I'll go over that in greater detail here in a minute. Now, when we are carrying out our procedures with our experiment, we need to make sure that we are doing multiple trials for each part. Okay, so notice we got my wing length at 2 and 4 and 6 centimeters. 2 and 4 and 6 centimeters. Now, I need to drop the 2 centimeters. I need to drop it at least 3 times. Now, the more times you have, the better. In the real world, you're going to drop this helicopter thousands and thousands and thousands of times. But obviously, we don't have that much time, right? So you should do it at least 3 times. 5 times would be better, but at least 3 times. So you're going to drop the 2 centimeter one 3 times. You're going to time it each time. Then you can drop the 4 centimeter 3 times. Time each one and record it. Then you're going to drop the 6 centimeter one 3 times. Time each one and record it. Okay? You don't want to do it one time. You want to do multiple trials. So make sure you include that in your procedures as well. Multiple trials. Okay, again, back to the variables. I know this is the tough one. Independent variable, that's what you changed. In my experiment, that's the length of the wing. The dependent variable, that's what changed as a result. That's going to be the time it takes for the helicopter to fly. I didn't have a control group. The constants are everything else that must remain the same. The type of paper, the paper clip, the height at which I'm dropping it from, for some examples. All right, so that was video number 3. On to video number 4.